Hey everyone, I'm Taci Turel, co-host and producer of the Scribbler podcast. I just got back from an incredible journey across Turkey and I wanted to share a bit about it with you. I left Youngstown to go to DC and flew out from Washington DC to Istanbul, where my friends were waiting to pick me up from the airport. From there, it was a whirlwind. I spent one night in Istanbul and joined my friends as we headed east to Elazığ, taking in some of the unique sights. Then I flew down to Antalya to soak up some sun on the beaches with my sister and my niece. After a few days of swimming and snorkeling on the Mediterranean, I flew back to Istanbul, where I had the chance to connect with locals and get their takes on the American elections, which led to some really insightful conversations. But the fun didn't stop there. During a reunion dinner with my childhood friends in Istanbul, I hopped on a Zoom call with my Scribbler co hosts Bertram De Souza and Cynthia Rickard to keep the podcast going, live from across the world. It was a fantastic mix of work, friendship, and culture, and I can't wait to share some of these Turkish perspectives on the elections with you all.
Hi, Taji. You are now in Istanbul. It is Saturday night. It's what, 6 o'clock your time?
Right.
And you're meeting some friends for dinner, and several of those friends are going to join us for a conversation about politics in general and the U.S. presidential election in particular. So how is the restaurant? It looks nice. Just from, if you want to give us a preview of the restaurant. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Actually, there's a sea view from here.
So give us the name of the restaurant. Say it so people can remember.
So it's called Tavacı Recep Usta Restaurant. Recep is the name of the chef.
Okay.
Usta means like Chef Recep.
Right.
Tava is like a Turkish food. Like, I don't know how to explain tava. It's the name of the meal that they usually cook on like a wok type.
Okay.
It's all meat, but of course they have a lot of other things.
The restaurant has a Michelin award as well.
Well, I just saw it. I was coming up because they have pictures of like the Turkish politicians, Turkish actors, celebrities, president of Turkey who have been here. So apparently all these famous people have been in this restaurant.
So
one of my friends is here already.
Okay. So the president of Turkey might walk in, and you can get him to join us.
Like any celebrity can walk in right now.
First of all, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you for taking the time and interrupting your dinner. But what we are interested in, when Taji told me that she was coming home to Turkey to visit family and will be joined by our friends, I asked if she would mind asking you to join us on this podcast to talk about the U.S. presidential election. We're particularly interested in whether or not people in Turkey and in the region are paying attention to the presidential election in the United States, and B, whether it makes a difference as to who will be president come next year, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. So if you would like to, give us your thoughts, please.
The first term of Donald Trump, we always have pain in Turkey from him. So we don't like Donald Trump.
Okay.
But the Biden season is not suitable for this region, the Middle East region. So American elections is not important for us because Trump is not different from Kamala Harris for us.
Is that because of America's support for Israel, especially what's going on in Gaza and in Lebanon, and then of course the possibility of a war with Iran? Is that the reason why there are people who really oppose America today?
In Turkey, our people thinks that all wars began from America around the world. All of the Muslim people thinks that.
Do you believe that if America wasn't so strongly in support of Israel,
Yeah,
there would be less trouble in the region?
yeah. If they didn't support Israel, Israel cannot be so strong or brave.
What is the feeling about Hamas and Hezbollah in your region?
Hezbollah and Hamas are, for the most part, considered terrorist organizations.
Right.
Even in your region as well?
Yeah,
Supported by Iran.
I'm not sure about that because I watched a lot of Turkish TV. They were talking about how Hezbollah has kind of changed a little bit because there are a lot of Lebanese people among Hezbollah as well.
Right.
Hezbollah is generally seen as a terrorist organization. About Hamas, there are some different views in Turkey because they thought they were legitimately elected, and
Right.
so it's a little bit.
Were they?
In Gaza, yes.
They were legitimately elected?
Yes.
In
Yes,
Gaza,
in Gaza.
they were.
I'd like to ask Rabia.
Mhm.
Hi.
Hi.
So when you look at Turkey and the region, one of the problems that Turkey is facing, like a lot of other countries and European countries, is the issue of immigration, and a lot of immigrants coming into these countries. And in the American presidential election, Donald Trump has made immigration a major issue, and is talking about, immigrants coming from countries that are not, sort of worthy of being in America. He wants immigrants from nice countries. What is the situation with immigration and immigrants in Turkey? And is there a growing public opposition to immigration?
I can say that I will not share my own opinion. I think it's not very important for you, but as a psychiatrist, I can see what people think about immigration. As a medical doctor, for example, I can say that it has two different views. On one
Okay.
hand, for example, people can think that we have own problems as living people in this
Right.
country. We have health problems, economic, financial problems. There are lots of, as you know, these days, all the world is face to face with some economic problems, and they
Right.
think that we cannot cope with these financial problems in our country. And why do we have to immigrants? Because they bring extra
Right.
problems for us. On the other hand, we are all humans. Yes, we are living in the same world, just have borders. And
Right.
of course, we cannot close our eyes and say that do whatever. We have to help the others. So there are two different opinions, and I can say that both has some logics.
Do the Turkish people believe that immigrants coming into Turkey are taking jobs away from people who are born in Turkey?
Not only the thing is taking jobs. As you know, when immigrants comes, it is not only the problem of the coming population, immigrants. It is also a problem for the host population who are hosting them. Not only
Oh, yeah.
for the jobs, everything changed. The culture changed. So people do not want
Wow.
to just watch the changing culture, for example. It's not
Right.
only the financial problems or some other issues. So there should be really very strong policies when you are opening your borders to immigrants. You cannot say that this is just a human problem and I'm helping them. You have to have strong policies for this population and also for your own population, for education, for health problems, for cultural problems, for financial problems. You have to follow some system. You should have a strong system, but not only yourself. Some of the other countries should also support this system. Not only
Right.
these efforts will be enough. So
It's interesting to me, though, Rabia, that this is the same conversation that we're having in this country. I didn't expect to hear that you were having them in your country, because one of the main concerns here is immigrants are coming in and we're spending money on them when Americans are starving and kids aren't getting
Uh-huh.
education and
Yes.
healthcare and that kind of thing. So it sounds like a very similar problem, which is kind of surprising that it's coming from in your country as well.
But I think there's a little difference because, for example, my friend is a Turkish woman and she is living in the US. My children, I have twin children and they are living in the US now for their
Wow, okay.
education. This is something different. When you open your borders, lots of people came at the same time. This is not as same as accepting immigrants step by step. So this is completely out of control. Yes.
Where are your kids living in the States?
They are at a boarding school in Georgia. They are in high school, so they received a scholarship.
You were recently in Atlanta with Taji, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And
Yes.
when you brought your your
Yes,
kids
I
to be
brought-
enrolled in school.
Yes.
So what do you think of the presidential election in America? Because there is talk, and I don't know how closely you follow, but not only is Donald Trump talking about illegal immigration, he wants to deport 11 million illegal immigrants, but he's also talking about legal immigrants.
Yes.
And talking about how some of them should not be allowed to live here. And his vice president has talked about foreign students coming in
I know.
and taking positions away from American students. So do you worry about what's going to happen in the United States with this presidential election?
For myself, I do not worry a lot because we have our own country and my children can come back and
Oh, yeah.
their country is safe and they come here and go on their life. But
Do you expect them to come back? Rabia, do you expect them to come back after school?
Of course, they really love the education system in the U.S. and they want to stay there. But as their mother, I want them to have great education there and come back to their own country.
So many students do come here and don't go back after, intending to go back, but they don't. Yeah.
I know that, but they also follow the elections and they know that Trump does not like students coming abroad.
Right.
In my mind, I do not have border between countries. I just really believe that we are living in the same world. Borders are not important for myself. So,
One globe.
Sure.
We can live together.
Do you travel a lot, Rabia?
Yes, I travel a lot in Europe and also.
That makes a difference. That makes a difference on how you view the world. I wanted to back up for a minute on something that you said about the strong policies that you need for immigration. In the United States these days, when immigrants come, when they used to in, I don't know, in like the 30s, 40s, Italian, Irish immigrants would never allow their kids to speak the foreign language. They always wanted them to speak English. So they lost the ability to speak their native languages. Today, immigrants come in and they don't care about learning English. So they're not being as assimilated as easily as others. And I think that it's caused a problem here. Is that anything that is happening in Turkey? Are immigrants expected to learn to speak Turkish?
For example, for children, if they are going to a school, they should have some Turkish classes. But for others, I do not think that it's a mandatory thing to speak only in Turkish. But it will make easier to learn.
Right.
It will make everything easier if they will stay here. And I think that they learn it very quickly. But I don't think that it's a mandatory situation.
You don't see it as a problem. I mean, it's not happening that people are coming in and not learning Turkish and really not being able to assimilate
I don't think
culture.
it just helps themselves to live easy. But for example, my children are, as I said, living in the US. Their teachers encourage them to live their own
Culture.
traditions, and they can share. So this makes us stronger. it is not a good idea if people are coming abroad to your country and you force them to live as how you are living. It's not a good
Well,
idea.
they've never really lost their culture here. We have a lot of international festivals and that kind of thing, but it's sort of a dual thing, you know. And you mentioned that the policies have to deal with differing cultures. So I was wondering if that's a problem, because you can maintain your own culture and yet, you know, slightly assimilate into, be able to live in a new culture. If you don't learn the language, it's so much more difficult for people to interact.
You are right.
Rabia, why did you decide to send your children to Atlanta, to the United States, instead of somewhere like Switzerland, where they have very good boarding schools?
Because I received, for my case, I received a Fulbright scholarship.
Oh,
and
okay.
I had been in the US 2 years ago. And at that time, my children were ninth grade in high school, and they really liked the education system there. Because
they were with you.
Yes, they were with me, and they liked the individualized education system. It was a big difference from my country. They could play volleyball, they could have time playing volleyball, but in our country, the academic part is more important, so they cannot have time for playing volleyball, doing other things. So they really liked the system, and it was their idea to go back to. First, they received the scholarship, then we sent them. So Atlanta wasn't our first choice.
Where were you for your Fulbright scholarship?
I was in Virginia.
Let me ask you about Kamala Harris. Does it? Are you? And I don't want to use the word excited, but are you interested in the fact that there could very well be, for the first time in the history of America, a female president, not just a female, but half Black and half South Asian Indian? How do you think about that?
To tell the truth, it always makes me happier when I saw women leaderships everywhere. But to be only a woman, of course, is not enough. You should have good heart also. For our country, Trump or Kamala, maybe it's not very different for us. We really need good-hearted people who do not support wars, who really wants the peace in the world. So it's not very important for me if it is Kamala or it is Trump.
Do you view Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on the same plane in terms of their attitude toward war?
And it does not change according to the president only. The US has a policy and they follow it. So I don't know if it is Kamala, it is Trump, or any other people. We know that United States has a policy in the world, and
I just wanted to mention that Rabia also, we were talking about leadership and Kamala being the first female president. She has been the head of the psychiatric hospital here. So
congratulations.
Well, that ties into my question. What makes you more enthusiastic about women leaders? What is it that you see in them that you don't see in men?
I really believe that women do it better. Yes.
A lot of women in Turkey are educated, and are successful.
Yes.
But why aren't more of them involved in politics? What's stopping them?
Yes, because maybe they wait. Just they think that somebody will give them some roles and they will do it. They do not fight about some positions or some. I feel like that. So if someone says that, come here and do it for us, and you always say, oh, you say, okay, I will try to do my best, but we do not.
Don't take the initiative.
Yeah. Taci, is Taci around?
It's just everybody runs so late around here because there's no time.
My kind of country, Taci.
I really want to show you guys the view from here if they allow me.
Yes.
Let me just.
Okay.
Yes.
We had a really good view earlier, but the sun has set. Oh yeah, the boardwalk is right there.
Okay.
Behind behind the boardwalk, there's like ships going and
I see, yeah.
boats and ferries going, and there's
Is,
Yeah, that is
is that an elevated boardwalk?
a big park after the cars, and then there's the
Okay.
boardwalk right by the water.
that scene is really popular in all of the Turkish movies. They
Is
use that. Yeah, they use that.
Yeah. No, I mean it had a beautiful view. I wish I showed it to you before the sun set.
And I
Hey,
see you're
Taci.
wearing a sweater. Is it cold? Is it cold there?
The weather is let me see, in the 60s.
Uh,
You know, it's kind of cold for people over here. They think it's so cold.
Is the weekend off in Turkey like it is here, Saturday and Sunday? Are
Yes.
days off or are they different?
Oh yeah, Saturday and Sunday are off.
Taci, is Friday still the Sabbath in Turkey?
No, Friday
Not.
is a holiday. It's a work day. Yeah,
So when is the mosque day there?
it's Friday.
It is Friday.
People go to the mosque during the prayer time, 12:30, 1 o'clock. So they do take a break from work and go there and pray and come
Is-
back. I mean, not everybody goes to the mosque, but for
Yeah.
who do, they can go and come back.
So could you hold up the menu and show us what the menu looks like? And then oh wow.
Oh, that is pretty.
It's like velvet.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I know.
Hold it, Taci.
Yeah.
Show the cover again. Show the cover again with the name.
Yeah.
Bayağı reklam yapıyoruz şu anda.
Evet ben buradayım. Gel.
Hello. Okay. Oh wow.
Supposed to look
That
like-
is some menu, yeah. That's like a magazine.
What is the specialty of the house?
Which one? This one? Bu mu? Ha, bu.
Tamam.
These two are their specialties. It's all
What are they? What are they? Explain them.
lamb ribs and diced lamb fried on iron plate.
Oh wow.
That's what it says. They have it in English as well.
I love lamb.
Yeah. And I ate here before. It's really good.
It's wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Göster. Bir de ben kendimi göstereyim. Merhaba.
Thank you.
Gel bakayım.
We'll come soon.
Biraz sana
Thank you. Okay, so what are you eating? What are you going to order tonight?
They ordered some appetizers for now while we are still waiting for our, friends who have no concept of time. Meatballs and some egg
Yeah.
dish is what they ordered
Ah,
as an appetizer. So
yeah.
then I'll tell you how much the prices are. It's like 2,000, like 1,000 to 2,000 Turkish liras, which would be $30 to $60.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, that's not bad. That's pretty good.
So this is my friend.
Good for a Michelin. That's
And-
pretty.
okay.
Actually, that's pretty cheap for a Michelin star restaurant. Hello.
Warm greetings from Turkey to all of you.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to
Hi.
meet you.
Nice to meet you, Helen.
Nice to meet you.
When was the last time you were in America? When was the last time you were in the States?
In San Francisco this year in
Yeah.
April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Taci says that you are a political analyst, scientist, and that you do interviews on national television and all of that. So
Yeah.
what we're trying to do with this podcast is get a sense of how people outside America are thinking about the U.S. presidential election.
Yeah.
So from your vantage point, obviously you've been paying attention to the election. How important is this election, not just for the United States, but for the international community?
Well, we've been discussing the same issue in Turkey as well, but in almost every American election, it's a focal point in Turkish media, because it's not only the election of the United States or the American nation, but it's also an election for the future path of global politics. For that reason, especially for the countries like Turkey, which call themselves as the allies of the United States, but
Mhm.
allies which have many problems with the United States,
Right.
I think it's really important to know who is going to rule your country in the near future.
Is there a preference among Turkish people as to who should be president?
Well, it would depend on what kind of political affiliation you have. For the people who call themselves as liberals, leftists, I think you might include myself as well. We would say Harris because of
Okay.
Democrats, because of at least being able to foresee what she might do, because there's a certain scenario about what the Democrats will make in the future. But regarding Trump, okay, most of the maybe radical people, maybe
Right.
rightist people, they would prefer Trump. But at the same time, this is a big question mark because you don't know what he's going to do, what his next step will be. In the previous elections, when he was a candidate for the second time, Turkey's
Right.
biggest choice was Trump officially. I mean,
Yeah.
Turkish government especially underlined its preference as Trump, but Biden was chosen. And this is mainly because Turkish officials usually claim that they have a direct telephone line with Trump. They
Right.
can easily reach him and talk to him. So he's not someone impossible to reach. For that reason, I think even this time they might say, in terms of official people, I mean, they might say Trump. But for me, it's a big risk.
In the context of what's going on in Gaza and in Lebanon, and also the possibility of a large, wider regional war if Israel attacks Iran, is there a sense of who would be better for the region, given what's going on right now?
I mean, it's like, in my point of view, I keep saying that it's like choosing one of the less evil, because
Okay.
both sides do not have a very clean agenda or page with Israel. This is something that hurts Turkish people and Turkish
Right.
rulers very much, because we see a big tyranny going on over the Palestinian people, a huge devastation of Gaza, more than
Yeah.
41,000 people, including children, women, they are, killed by Israel. The government, I mean, Turkish officials keep underlining that this is not a matter about Israeli people, it's about the Israeli government, Netanyahu government. And you might know that our president calls him as a terrorist, and
Yes.
from time to time Israel as a terrorist as well. But for us, I think, and for the people, many people who are in favor of Palestinian people in the United States, like all these young university students protest against Israel, I think they have to choose who is less evil in the future. And Trump is not giving the guarantee that he won't be doing something worse with Israel. And as far as I know, he said that he's going to strengthen the ties with Israel,
Yes.
which is not a very good sign for the sake of the Palestinian people.
As a political scientist, as somebody who's immersed in politics, there was a time during the Cold War when America was welcomed around the world because of the Soviet Union, and they were found that with America, the Soviet Union was held back as far as because of its nuclear power and all of that. After the Cold War, and when the Soviet Union was dismantled, it seems that America's reputation around the world has dropped, and not a lot of countries don't look at America as somebody to follow. Is that a sense you get in Turkey as well?
Well, definitely. Turkey has long taken its part among the rise of the global South. So we keep talking about the rise of the rest, those countries who are alternative or who might be the alternative hegemons in the future, like Russia, China, India. And Turkey is also trying to take its place with a strong say that there needs to be a kind of United Nations reform, because the post-Cold War order built by the United States is not representing the interests of today's powers. It is an old power. It's an old order which belongs to post-Cold War era, but today is different. It's 21st century, and many countries are very much conscious that they want reform, and United Nations should be much more, let's say, comprehensive. It should cover many more countries as permanent UN Security Council members.
Right.
There is strong resistance in Turkey, or Turkiye, let's say, as we call it now, to be one of the countries who claim for a reform in the global order, let's say. United States will be important. It will be a very big country in a near future. Maybe in my lifetime, I won't be able to see the fall of the US hegemony, but for sure, it is decreasing. And it's especially because of the decreasing American soft power. It's not a model of, envy anymore. It is a country which has too many problems inside, too much polarization inside.
Yeah.
Which is not representing the interests of the liberal world anymore. And I'm not sure whether the people of the world is asking for liberalism anymore. So some people are talking about the rise of authoritarianism. Maybe the future generations will prefer authoritarianism. So I think there's a big question mark regarding the US hegemony in the future.
What is the political situation in Turkey today, given your president and the way he has been conducting his office and himself? What's going on in your country?
Well, like your country, it's like 50-50. Around 50% of Turkish people think that it's good for the country to have one man, because it's easy to take decisions, and one strong man also represents you well in the global arena. But the rest of the people, another 50%, says that this is not democracy. So there is almost the same thing in your country, like we are going through in Turkey at the moment, that people are trying to decide how Turkish democracy might be strengthened in terms of pluralism, especially because it's mainly majoritarianism at the moment. It's not pluralism.
Right.
Classically, we think that democracy should be pluralistic, comprehensive, and it's not the case in Turkey anymore.
The distinction right now in America, if you look at the base of support for Trump and for Kamala Harris, there are a lot of non-college educated blue-collar workers and their families who are supporting Donald Trump, because even though he's a billionaire, somehow or the other he has appealed to that segment of the electorate as to say, I'm your champion. And the more educated people, college educated people, seem to be supporting Kamala Harris. Is that distinction also evident in Turkey? Can you see that happening?
Well, it was strongly like that in the past, but now as Turkish economy is going through a lot of trouble, Turkish currency is losing strength compared to foreign currencies. And for that reason, I think that's the case. They are losing the working class, because it became much more difficult for them to survive with the money they are receiving as salaries at the moment. And this is the weakest part of the current government. Otherwise, in terms of nationalism, in terms of, representing those who are suppressed all over the world, the Turkish government is quite strong. They are somehow having their niche areas like mediation, foreign aid, and so on. But regarding the economic situation, I think they are really or losing votes, let's say, in the last couple of elections.
We're having obviously a major problem with the immigration issue in this election. Trump wants to deport everybody who wasn't born on American soil practically. What is the situation in Turkey with immigration?
Well, immigration, especially illegal immigration, is a global political issue which affects all of the countries, including Turkiye, because of Syria, especially because we have a civil war still going on in a neighboring country, and we have the longest border with Syria, and we have more than maybe 5 million people living in Turkey. Some of them are born in Turkey, and it's difficult to separate them, whether, that they are Syrians or Turkish at the moment, because we have many children and youngsters in Turkish schools who have Syrian origin. But at the same time, there's a flow of Afghans as well from different conflict zones, especially after the United States left Afghanistan, we had received many Afghan people also in Turkey. And strong resistance in among Turkish people against the newcomers. And this is strictly tied economic decrease as well, because when you are receiving less wealth, when you are receiving less money, then you have a bigger opposition against the newcomers, the refugees. I think this is another very significant issue for the Turkish government to deal with, because they are losing votes because of so many refugees inside Turkey. Looking at the United States, looking at Turkey, Germany, many other countries like France, I see the same pattern, which is neo-racism. So it's cultural racism. And cultural racism is everywhere, including US, Turkey, elsewhere, against the newcomers. Because we are,
do you think
we are going to lose our ordinary way of living.
Do you think the cultural racism outweighs the economic issues, though?
It's strictly tied to economic issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you joined us, we were having the same conversation about the similarity between the discussions about immigration in the United States and Turkey, because I'm sure you know, if you've been to San Francisco, the economic issues involving immigrants in our country is a major point in this election, with Trump talking about at times even deporting naturalized citizens, and all kinds of rumors and falsehoods going around about all of the social services that immigrants are getting, depriving Americans of those as well. So it was interesting to me that there's kind of similar things going on in Turkey, which most Americans are not aware of. And in terms of the economic issues, you're also dealing with inflation in Turkey as well, right?
Correct.
Most Americans don't recognize that it's a global issue. Most Americans are trying to pin inflation on whoever's in the White House, which they really have nothing to do with. And I can't tell you how many friends that I've talked to that have no clue that the rest of the world is going through much worse inflation than we are. I don't know. I don't know how Turkish people view it, but and how extreme it is there, how difficult it is for them to put food on the table right now.
I mean, like many countries in Turkey, there are two poles who are quite rich, quite wealthy, and can reach anything they want, but there are also very poor people. So the middle class is disappearing. I think this is a general issue in many countries. For that reason, I cannot claim that all of the people are going through difficulties in Turkey. No, some of us are really having very good conditions of living, but the rest of the people are unfortunately going through too much trouble in order to survive with their monthly salaries. Yes, there is an economic crisis going on globally, but at the same time, as we are having so much, defense issues, international terrorism, civil wars, this is making governments to feel obliged to give the biggest share from their budgets to defense industry. So
Right.
most of the Turkish people have to somehow provide money or taxes for the increasing defense industry, strengthening defense, national defense industry. And this is because of the global atmosphere of insecurity that we are going through.
Yeah. What do you think the general attitude of Turkish people toward America is right now? How are we viewed there?
I mean, I've been examining 1950s and comparing 1950s with 2000s. It's a huge gap in between. In the 1950s, there was so much sympathy for the United States as a model country, and also we were receiving so much economic and military aid against the Soviets. But in the 2000s, there's too much apathy, let's say, hatred against the United States, unfortunately. And there are annual polls going on, which are conducted by a very famous Turkish university here in Istanbul. In every year, the United States is pointed out by Turkish people as one of the biggest enemies or dangers internationally.
Right.
And after that, Israel comes. So either it's Israel or the United States.
United States, yeah.
Wow.
The Turkish people to hate, to feel somehow insecure about. And this is mainly because of the, I think the United States, the West in general, closing their ears against what Turkey is saying, or what the countries like Turkey, important allies of the Cold War times, are saying.
Right.
Today. The world is changing, and they have some expectations. And unfortunately, the United States is playing the deaf and not hearing anything, like giving support to a terror organization, the PKK, in Syria and in Iraq, which is very much threatening Turkish national interests. So I keep saying that this is like being lost in translation. They don't want to hear what we are saying. And unfortunately, Turkey has prejudices as well, that the West is not understanding us. The West is not giving the necessary support. And now we have alternatives, they say, like Russia and China.
Do you have Turkish friends in the United States in addition to Taci, Helin?
Yes, I do. Very good friend in Washington working for World Bank. I have very close friends, childhood friends in San Francisco, and maybe more colleagues as well.
All right. The reason I'm asking is the Turkish community here in our area, in Youngstown, the Youngstown area.
Yes.
Taci tells me that a lot of them don't care about the presidential election
and aren't going to vote.
And that is really troubling. Is that what you're finding from the people you know, the Turkish people you know in the United States?
I mean, regarding your presidential elections, you're asking, I guess, what I see is that my friends are very much interested about who is going to rule the United States.
Oh,
well, good.
That's encouraging. I'm glad to hear.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Listen, again, thank you for your time. We
My
appreciate it. And
it was nice to meet you all.
Very nice to meet you. And hope to see
nice to meet you
here.
too. Enjoy your dinner.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, hey, by the way, take pictures of the table with all the food on it.
I will. Okay.
So when are you home?
Next Friday.
Okay. All right. Well, enjoy the
Bye.
rest of the trip. Bye. Nice to meet you all.
Take care. Enjoy.
Okay. Bye.
Have a nice dinner.
Fortunately, we managed to record this dinner podcast without getting kicked out of the restaurant. Over the next few days, I had the chance to interview a few more people and even caught a stand-up show at a bar in Kadıköy, Istanbul. It was Sami Obeid, a comedian from California, performing his ceasefire tour.
States, say what you will, we're not united, but we are states. You know what I mean? We got a lot of states to experiment with. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, but we got 50 states. Yeah. 51 if you count Israel. We got a lot of states.
After the show, I grabbed a couple more interviews, and I will end this video with those. Thank you for watching.
Do you have any opinions about the American elections that is coming up between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump?
Yeah, I'm seeing most of the things from social media. The verse against verse, I'm thinking like there is two bad guys and fighting for the election. But which one is worse? I don't know. Kamala is like a disaster, and Trump is looking like a biggest Zionist in the world. So I hate both of them. I don't know. I'm just so negative about our world's future because of this. I'm so hopeless. I feel hopeless.
Do you believe that the American elections may have an impact on Turkey?
Yeah, of course, because we are in NATO. Somehow, eventually, it will affect us. Colonized, a lot of bad things happen, still happening in Yemen, Sudan. But I'm seeing first time in my life that Western media is seeing everything alive, but nobody cares. They have always excuse. This is crazy. We are trying to explain people that killing babies is wrong. This is the saddest thing for me, to explain people around me that this is wrong, because they should naturally think like this and fight for this, but we are trying to prove this is wrong. This is crazy. I mean, I don't know how to explain my feelings. I'm thinking about Hamas, which everybody knows this is a terrorist organization. Yes, they killed civilians. I'm against it. I hate this. I was against it when it happened at 7th October. But if I'm thinking that if a state coming and blowing up my home, blowing up my school, my hospital, my neighbors, my friends, my family, execute my father in front of my eyes, I guess I will be 100% terrorist. I can't imagine their psychology. What shall I do in my life after seeing execution of everybody around me? Do I be an engineer? Will I be a doctor? Will I be a peaceful person? I don't think so. I will be a terrorist. I will kill everybody which killed my family. I'm sorry, but these days I'm just empathizing with Hamas, and I'm supporting who is against Israeli government. I love Israeli people who are not Zionists, who are not supporting Israeli government. I love them. I will always love people because of their human being, but I'm against Israeli government. They is a terrorist organization, biggest terrorist organization in the world. This is my thoughts. Yeah, my husband is German. I live in most of the time in Germany as well. You see nothing in Germany. They do know nothing about what is going on. When do you show them? They just want to ignore it. They just don't want to hear it.
You said that you hate both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump,
Yeah.
But one of them will become the president of the United States. So you don't think there will be any difference between the two?
I don't think so. Yeah, maybe Trump is against abortion, which is a good thing, but at the same time he's supporting Israel. So I don't know. I don't know what to say.
We are from Denmark, and I think from the Danish view, I think you sort of think Kamala Harris is the one to vote for, especially because of Trump's view on NATO, and that sort of how he doesn't want to support as much as Kamala Harris does. So I think in Denmark, Kamala Harris is the big winner.
I think if you ask most people in our country, it's definitely Kamala Harris who is the one we would vote for.
Also, because even Kamala Harris is in Denmark a right-wing political view politician.
And I think Trump's age is very high. So I think that American people have to give some chance to Kamala Harris. Because I'm on the side of the Democrats against two nations. Also, I'm the side of on side of the women.
Anything else you want to say to American people about the elections?
Do not allow a one-man regime.